Training camps have started across the league as the start of the season is just under 3 weeks away, but Anaheim has two major names missing on their training camp roster: Trevor Zegras and Jamie Drysdale. Both Zegras and Drysdale are restricted free agents as of now, and I can't help but be confused about what Anaheim's strategy is here. A report from Renaud Lavoie today indicates that Anaheim's offer to Zegras is in the $3 to $4 million range. This man is effectively the face of your franchise at the moment and has already put up two 60-point seasons while still being a 22-year-old. All while putting butts in seats given how he has single-handedly repopularized the Michigan goal in the NHL. Even on a bridge deal, I think a $3 to $4 million offer is laughable when you see what players who put up similar numbers to Zegras last year make. Let's look at a list of players who put up 60 to 70 points last year while being under 25. Pierre-Luc Dubois. He put up 63 points in 73 games with the Jets, and he just signed an $8.5 million contract with the Kings for 8 years. Robert Thomas. 65 points in 73 games. He's set to start his 8-year, $8+ million contract this year. Alex DeBrincat, 66 points in 82 games, and he just signed a 4-year deal worth almost $8 million. Nick Suzuki, 66 points in 82 games. He's also making almost $8 million a year over the next 7 years. Dylan Cousins, Matthew Boldy, Brandon Hagel. See the trend here? I understand that Verbeek probably wants to come across as a tough negotiator, but I don't think trying to strong-arm negotiations with every young player is a great idea, especially when that player is the current face of your franchise. And also when you seem to be handing out big bucks and big term to guys like Killorn, Gudas, Strome, and Vetrano. On top of that, Anaheim has almost $16 million in cap space at the moment. I can see a world where a $6 million on a short bridge deal makes sense for Zegras, but $3 to $4 million? No way. And realistically, Zegras is probably worth $7 to $8 million today, even on a short-term deal. And this is coming from a guy who's not necessarily the biggest Zegras fan. I do think he's a little bit overrated, but still exceptionally talented and deserves to get paid. His contract situation has kind of flown under the radar throughout the summer, but now that it's the start of training camp and Zegras still isn't here, I think that's a little bit concerning. You don't want to be in a situation like Nylander a few years ago, where he held out until December and then had a really slow start to his season. It's difficult to get up to the speed of the game when you're coming in cold in December while the rest of the league has been firing on all cylinders for 2 months. I think that would be a bad situation for both Zegras and the Ducks. Pay the man, especially if it's on a short-term deal, before someone else starts thinking about an offer sheet. And the same holds true for Drysdale. Thankfully for the Ducks, he isn't eligible to be offer sheeted, but he still represents a key piece to the puzzle that Anaheim is trying to put together. He had an excellent rookie season, putting up 32 points in 81 games, but had a tough season last year dealing with a torn labrum in his left shoulder. He's fully healthy and ready to go now, but Drysdale's negotiations were always going to be complicated given his injury. I wouldn't be surprised to see him sign a short 1 or 2 year deal on a fairly low AAV. Assuming he gets signed, I imagine he'll get a chance to slot in with Cam Fowler on the top defensive line for the Ducks, and should get every chance to shine on a fairly weak Ducks team. I understand the GM's position to set a strong precedent for future negotiations with their young players by trying to sign bargain contracts for both Zegras and Drysdale, but you don't want it to come at the expense of potentially stunting their development. And if they miss games to start the season, I can absolutely see them having a slow start. The next 3 weeks before the puck officially drops to start the season should be very interesting to say the least.